At the farthest reaches of our planet lies a land so hostile, so utterly alien, that it seems less like part of Earth and more like another world altogether. Antarctica, an expanse of ice and stone that stretches over 14 million square kilometers. It is a continent buried beneath an endless desert of snow, a place where the sun itself abandons the horizon for half the year, and where night brings a darkness broken only by the shimmer of auroras and the howl of frozen winds. This is the coldest place on Earth. Temperatures fall so low they make the steel of aircraft brittle, so low that exposed skin freezes in minutes. Winds tear across the open plains at more than 300 kilometers per hour, carrying with them blizzards so violent that visibility shrinks to nothing. 98% of the land is smothered under a sheath of ice more than 2 kilometers thick, containing over 70% of the world's fresh water. Beneath this ice lies an alien landscape of mountains, valleys, rivers, and lakes that have remained sealed away for millions of years. Antarctica is not like the other continents. No indigenous peoples ever settled here. No great empires were built upon its shores. Instead, it has remained untamed and mysterious, a place spoken of for centuries in myth before it was ever truly seen. The Greeks imagined it as Terra Australis Incognita, the unknown southern land. Mapmakers sketched its phantom outline as a counterweight to the known world of the north. Explorers sought it, sailors feared it, and for centuries its reality remained hidden behind walls of ice and storm. Today, Antarctica is more than a frozen wilderness. It is a time capsule, a vault holding the memory of Earth's past, and perhaps clues to its future. The ice itself preserves a record of our planet's history, trapping ancient air, ancient climates, even the remnants of life that vanished long before humanity emerged. And still deeper under the miles of ice are secrets yet to be revealed. Hidden lakes untouched for millions of years, mountain ranges never seen by human eyes, and perhaps even forms of life that challenge everything we think we know. But Antarctica is also a land of shadowed histories and whispered mysteries. Nazi expeditions in the 1930s, Cold War operations cloaked in secrecy, stories of hidden bases and unexplained phenomena. These have all fueled speculation about what truly lies beneath the ice. While science reveals a frozen continent, rich with discovery, myth and conspiracy continue to cast a long shadow across its surface. This is the story of Antarctica. A story of ice and endurance, of science and secrecy, of history and speculation. It is the story of the most extreme environment on Earth and the hidden world buried beneath its frozen skin. The white continent is not silent. It speaks in ancient ice, in shifting glaciers, in winds that shape the world's climate. And if we listen closely, it may reveal secrets about our past, our future, and the fragile fate of the planet we call home. Antarctica is unlike any other land on Earth. It is the only continent that was never shaped by human hands. No ancient tribes carved its rocks, no kingdoms rose upon its shores. It has always stood apart, an entire world of ice at the bottom of the globe, remote, dangerous, and shrouded in mystery. For most of history, it was an idea rather than a reality. The Greeks called it Terra Australis Incognita, the unknown southern land. Philosophers believed that such a place had to exist, not because they had seen it, but because the balance of the earth demanded it. If there was land in the north, surely there must be land in the south. This imagined continent lingered in the minds of scholars for nearly 2,000 years, appearing on maps as a vast blank outline, a placeholder for human ignorance. But even myths have their gravity. By the age of exploration, when European powers sent ships across the world in search of wealth and empire, curiosity about the southern seas grew irresistible. Sailors ventured farther than ever before into the roaring 40s and furious 50s, latitudes where the winds never rest and the waves rise higher than cathedrals. They were searching for riches, trade routes, and sometimes glory. What they found instead was ice. Vast bergs the size of cities drifted north, proof that somewhere beyond the horizon lay a frozen landmass. The first confirmed sighting came in 1820. Fabian von Bellingshausen, a captain in the Russian Imperial Navy, recorded glimpsing the glacial coast of a new continent. Within the same year, British and American sealers also reported landings, though whether they touched the mainland or nearby islands remains debated. What is not disputed is that Antarctica entered human history as both discovery and opportunity. Sealers rushed south, hungry for pelts. Within decades, entire colonies of seals were wiped out. Greed had found its way even here, in a place where survival itself is a challenge. Then came the whalers. The Southern Ocean swelled with ships chasing blue whales, humpbacks and sperm whales. The oil rendered from their bodies lit the lamps of Europe and America, powered industries, and filled the coffers of nations. By the early 20th century, whaling stations dotted the islands near Antarctica, their shores littered with the bones of giants. The white continent had begun to pay a price for human ambition long before we set foot upon its heart. But perhaps the most enduring chapter of early Antarctic history is the saga of the explorers. At the dawn of the 20th century, Antarctica became the stage for one of the greatest dramas of human endurance, the race to the South Pole. For centuries, the poles had been symbols of ultimate conquest, like the summits of the highest mountains or the farthest reaches of the seas. Roald Amundsen, the Norwegian, approached the challenge with calculation and precision. He studied Inuit survival skills, mastered the use of dog sleds, and meticulously planned every supply depot. In December 1911, Amundsen and his team reached the pole, planting Norway's flag in the icy plateau and returning home as heroes. Robert Falcon Scott, the British naval officer, arrived only weeks later. His team, exhausted and underprepared, had relied on ponies and motor sledges that quickly failed in the unforgiving conditions. The journey back was a slow descent into tragedy. Scott and his men perished in the cold, only 11 miles from a supply depot that could have saved them. Their frozen bodies and diaries were discovered months later, turning Scott into both a cautionary tale and a symbol of sacrifice in the name of exploration. And then there was Ernest Shackleton. His expeditions did not conquer the pole, but they gave the world a story of survival that would echo through the ages. In 1914, Shackleton's ship, the Endurance, became trapped in pack ice and was eventually crushed. For months, his crew camped on drifting floes before escaping in lifeboats across storm-lashed seas. Shackleton led a small party on an impossible voyage of 2,300 kilometers in an open boat, then trekked across uncharted mountains to seek rescue. Against all odds, every one of his men survived. Shackleton's name became synonymous not with conquest, but with resilience. These explorers carved their legends into the ice, but they also revealed the true nature of Antarctica, a land that punishes arrogance and rewards humility, a place that cannot be conquered, only endured. By mid-century, the era of heroic exploration gave way to something new. Antarctica was no longer just the end of the map. It became a pawn in global politics. The Cold War made even this frozen wilderness a stage for competition. The United States launched Operation High Jump in 1946, sending thousands of men, dozens of ships, and aircraft to the Antarctic coast, officially to train and test equipment, but in reality, a demonstration of power. Other nations staked claims on sections of the continent, hoping to secure resources and strategic footholds. It was in this tense atmosphere that the Antarctic Treaty was signed in 1959. 12 nations, including the United States and the Soviet Union, agreed that this continent would be reserved for peace and science. Military activity was banned, nuclear tests forbidden. No single nation could claim sovereignty. In an age of suspicion and rivalry, it was a rare moment of cooperation. Over time, the treaty expanded, now embraced by more than 50 countries. Yet the treaty has always carried a quiet undertone of fragility. Beneath the ice lie reserves of coal, oil, and minerals. The ice itself contains the vast majority of Earth's freshwater, and the continent holds immense scientific value as a natural laboratory. Though the treaty keeps exploitation at bay, questions remain. When resources grow scarce in the rest of the world, will the ice remain untouchable? Antarctica, the white continent, is more than an expansive frozen wilderness. It is a mirror of humanity's hunger for discovery, for survival, and for power. From the myths of the ancients to the triumphs and tragedies of explorers, from the greed of whalers to the fragile diplomacy of the treaty, it has always stood as both promise and warning. And yet, the greatest story of Antarctica is not the one we have already written upon its surface. It is the one hidden beneath its frozen crust, a story preserved in ice, locked away in darkness, waiting to be uncovered. The ice of Antarctica is not inert. It is alive with memory. Every snowflake that fell, every storm that swept across the polar plateau, every shift in global climate has been locked within its frozen grip. To stand on the ice sheet is to stand upon a cathedral of time, one that stretches back almost 1,000,000 years into Earth's past. When scientists drive their drills deep into this icy crust, what they pull up are not just cylinders of frozen water, they are scrolls of history. Within the glassy walls of each ice core lie tiny bubbles, pinpricks of ancient atmosphere trapped in crystal prisons. To break them open is to breathe the same air inhaled by mammoths and saber-toothed cats. In these bubbles, researchers have traced the ebb and flow of carbon dioxide, methane, and oxygen, charting the dance of ice ages and warm periods that shape the course of life on Earth. They can pinpoint the moment human industry began to alter the atmosphere, the fingerprint of coal smoke and oil rising starkly from the quiet record of the past. But the ice does not merely speak of climate. Beneath its weight, 2, sometimes 4 kilometers thick, an entire hidden world has been preserved. Imagine mountain ranges as vast as the Alps, yet sharper and more pristine, their peaks never touched by wind or rain. These are the Gambutsev subglacial mountains, stretching more than 200 kilometers under the ice, a geological paradox. They should have eroded away long ago, ground down by time, yet they remain as jagged as the day they were formed. Why? Some geologists whisper that they may be the ancient heart of the continent itself, a fragment of crust that anchored Antarctica hundreds of millions of years ago when it was part of the supercontinent Gondwana. Others suggest geothermal heat still pulses below, keeping them locked in stasis. And in the shadows of these mountains lie valleys deeper than the Grand Canyon, canyons so immense that entire modern cities could disappear inside them, unseen by the world above. Hidden rivers cut through the darkness, moving silently beneath kilometers of pressure, carving channels in stone no human eye has witnessed. These rivers feed lakes, hundreds of them, sealed beneath the ice like jewels in a frozen crown. Lake Vostok is the largest. 4 kilometers beneath the surface, its waters have been untouched by sunlight for perhaps 20 million years. It is a world unto itself, isolated since before humans first stood upright. When Russian scientists finally breached its icy ceiling, they did so with almost religious reverence, aware that they were opening a door into prehistory. The samples they drew contained microbes unlike any seen on the surface, hinting that life finds a way even in places of crushing pressure and eternal night. Other lakes, Lake Whillans, Lake Mercer, have revealed strange microbial communities, feeding not on sunlight, but on minerals, iron, and chemical reactions between rock and water. In the darkness beneath Antarctica, life proves it does not need warmth or light. It only needs persistence. These discoveries have implications that stretch beyond Earth. The icy moons of Jupiter and Saturn, Europa, Ganymede, Enceladus, are thought to conceal oceans beneath their frozen shells. If Antarctica's buried lakes harbor life, then perhaps those distant oceans do as well. Antarctica then becomes a mirror to the stars, a laboratory for astrobiology, showing us what might live beyond our fragile blue planet. And yet, for all we know, there is far more we do not. Beneath the ice, sediments remain untouched, perhaps carrying fossils from when Antarctica was a green world. For Antarctica was not always frozen. 50 million years ago, forests of beech and pine covered its slopes. Rivers ran and dinosaurs roamed its valleys. Fossilized leaves and the bones of reptiles have been found on its fringes, evidence of a temperate paradise long buried beneath the advancing ice. If sediments preserved beneath the ice sheet still hold that record, we may one day unlock a window into a vanished world. Then there are the anomalies. Satellite imagery and ground-penetrating radar have revealed odd shapes, massive magnetic disturbances, unexplained heat sources, geometric patterns beneath the ice. In 2018, scientists studying the Wilkes Land region detected what appears to be a colossal impact crater, twice the size of the one that ended the reign of the dinosaurs. If confirmed, it suggests that a cataclysmic asteroid struck Antarctica around 250 million years ago, perhaps triggering one of Earth's greatest mass extinctions. Others point to pyramid-like formations, triangular peaks protruding from the ice, sparking whispers of lost civilizations or structures not born of nature. Mainstream science attributes them to nunataks, mountain peaks exposed above the ice, but the images linger in the imagination. Why do so many anomalies appear in a land so hidden, so fiercely protected, so little explored? Here lies the tension. Antarctica is governed by the Antarctic Treaty, but access is tightly controlled. Research permits are scarce, drilling regulations strict. Nations claim this is to preserve the environment, yet some believe it is also to preserve secrets, scientific, political, perhaps even historical, that the ice conceals. The buried histories of Antarctica are not just those written in geology and climate. They are stories of what humanity suspects, what it fears, and what it longs to discover. And as the ice shifts, as satellites peer deeper, as drilling ventures closer to the untouched heart of the continent, the question grows louder. What lies beneath the ice that we are not yet meant to see? Antarctica has always been a land of science and endurance, but it has also been a land of secrecy. For all the research bases and treaties that speak of peace, the continent has long attracted military eyes, intelligence operations, and stories that hover between fact and myth. The first to arrive with such intent were the Germans. In 1938, as Europe edged toward war, Nazi Germany launched an expedition to the icy south. The ship Schwabenland sailed into the Queen Maud Land region, deploying aircraft to survey the ice. They dropped metal darts emblazoned with swastikas, a symbolic claim over the frozen territory. Officially, they sought whaling grounds. Unofficially, their motives remained debated. Rumors soon spread that Germany sought to establish a permanent base, Base 211, beneath the Antarctic ice. Some claimed U-boats carried supplies and technology to hidden caverns. Others insisted that secret weapons, perhaps even advanced aircraft, were tested in the southern wastes. At the war's end, when U-boats were found wandering the Atlantic long after Germany's surrender, speculation grew louder. Were they bound for Antarctic hideouts? No evidence has ever proven these claims, but the idea of a Nazi stronghold beneath the ice still lingers in books, films, and fevered imaginations. In 1946, the United States launched one of the largest expeditions in Antarctic history, Operation High Jump. More than 4,000 men, 13 ships, and dozens of aircraft set sail under Admiral Richard Byrd. The mission was described as a training exercise, testing men and equipment in extreme cold, but its scale went far beyond mere training. Some claim it was a show of force, a signal that America intended to assert dominance in the post-war world, even on the frozen continent. Operation High Jump lasted only months, cut short amid reports of heavy losses, crashed planes, and unexplained incidents. Byrd himself returned, warning that America must prepare against threats that could strike from the polar regions with incredible speed. His words were vague, but they have fueled speculation for decades. Was Operation High Jump truly a military exercise? Or was it something more? A confrontation with forces unknown, whether remnants of Nazi technology or mysteries still buried beneath the ice? The Soviets, too, turned their eyes south. By the 1950s, Soviet research stations appeared across Antarctica, their scientific missions shadowed by strategic aims. Lake Vostok, one of the greatest hidden wonders of the continent, was first charted by Soviet teams. They saw in Antarctica not just a scientific frontier, but a potential foothold in the global balance of power. Some Western observers whispered of covert drills, secret ice tunnels, even underground facilities. Again, proof was scarce, but the suspicions of the Cold War gave every rumor weight. Into this atmosphere of secrecy came reports that defied easy explanation. Pilots returning from patrols spoke of strange lights darting across the sky, moving too fast to be conventional aircraft. Compass needles swung erratically near certain regions, as if massive magnetic anomalies lurked beneath the ice. In Wilkes Land, satellites detected gravitational disturbances so vast that scientists suggested an asteroid impact crater hidden below, a scar potentially linked to one of Earth's mass extinctions. But for others, these anomalies hinted at something artificial, something constructed. Then there are the pyramids. Photographs of Antarctica's Ellsworth Mountains show strikingly triangular peaks, their sides sharp and symmetrical. Geologists explain them as nunataks, mountains whose upper slopes poke through the ice sheet, yet the images are compelling. To some, they resemble the ruins of ancient civilizations, buried when the continent froze millions of years ago. Could Antarctica once have been home to humans or to something else before the ice entombed it? The evidence says no. The imagination says perhaps. Beyond the explorers, beyond the treaties, beyond the wars and expeditions, there are stories that slip through the cracks of official history. One of the oldest and strangest is the legend of the hollow Earth. The idea that our planet might not be solid, but instead honeycombed with vast chambers or even open at its core. In the 19th century, some scientists speculated that immense openings at the poles could lead inside. When explorers like Admiral Byrd flew over Antarctica in the mid-20th century, fringe theorists claimed he saw such an opening, a yawning chasm into another world. Byrd's cryptic comments after High Jump about threats coming from the poles with incredible speed became fuel for the fire. Did he encounter something no official report would ever acknowledge? Then there are the UFO stories. From the 1950s onward, reports of strange lights and objects in the skies above Antarctica multiplied. Pilots described craft that moved faster than anything known, darting and stopping in defiance of physics. Satellites picked up anomalous signals, bursts of radio waves with no clear source. Some researchers linked these to natural phenomena, auroras or magnetic storms, but others asked, if one were to hide, to remain unseen by humanity, where better than beneath miles of Antarctic ice? Modern whistleblowers have added to the mystery. In interviews and leaked documents, some claim that clandestine excavations have uncovered structures buried deep within the ice, massive, ancient, and not of human design. Stories circulate of multinational teams working in secret, protected by the Antarctic Treaty's veil of restricted access. The evidence is scarce, but the allure of the idea, ruins beneath the ice, older than civilization, has proven irresistible. There are whispers of lost maps, like the Piri Reis map of 1513, which some claim shows Antarctica's coastline centuries before it was officially discovered, free of ice, as though charted in a forgotten age. Scholars argue the map is misinterpreted, its coastline distorted. But in the imagination of mystery seekers, it is proof that Antarctica's secrets have been known before, only to be lost again. What makes these shadows so durable is not what we know, but what we cannot know. Antarctica is governed by the Antarctic Treaty, which prohibits military activity and restricts exploration. But the treaty also cloaks the continent in bureaucracy and limitation. Very few expeditions penetrate its interior. Very few people ever witness its hidden places. Those who do are often government scientists or military personnel bound by regulations and secrecy. For the public, Antarctica remains distant, unseen, and untouchable. And in the absence of access, suspicion thrives. Whether it is whispers of Nazi fortresses, tales of vanished submarines, birds' cryptic warnings, hollow Earth entrances, UFO sightings, pyramids, or lost maps, Antarctica has become more than a frozen land. It is a canvas for our fears and our fantasies, a mirror in which we project our anxieties about war, secrecy, and the unknown. Most of these stories are myth, yet they endure because of one haunting possibility, that beneath the ice there truly are secrets so vast, so transformative, that they would change how we see not just Antarctica, but the history of the entire world. Antarctica is often described as barren, but in the hands of science, it is the richest of archives. The deeper we peer into its ice, the more it reveals, and the more urgent its message becomes. Here, every discovery is magnified, because it speaks not only of Antarctica itself, but of the Earth, of life, and even of the universe. Few scientific endeavors capture this better than ice core drilling. Projects like EPICA, the European project for ice coring in Antarctica, have extracted cores nearly 3 kilometers long. In these glassy cylinders, researchers read climate like chapters of a book. Volcanic ash reveals past eruptions, black streaks of soot hint at ancient wildfires, and delicate bubbles preserve the breath of past atmospheres. It was from Antarctic ice that scientists proved the clear link between carbon dioxide levels and global temperature, demonstrating that humanity's current trajectory is unlike anything seen in the past 800,000 years. Some of the most sobering revelations come from the speed of change. In the past, transitions from ice age to warm periods unfolded over thousands of years. Today, warming occurs within a single human lifetime. In the silence of its frozen library, Antarctica testifies that the present is unprecedented. Equally astounding are the discoveries of what lies below. The drilling into Lake Whillans in 2013 was a milestone. Beneath 800 meters of ice, scientists found a thriving microbial community, sustained in total darkness, feeding on iron, sulfur, and ammonia. It was life stripped down to its most elemental form, proof that biology can adapt to environments once thought impossible. When Lake Mercer was sampled in 2019, the results were just as remarkable. DNA traces revealed not only microbes, but hints of multicellular life, remnants of tiny crustaceans and fungi washed into the lake perhaps thousands of years ago. Even in isolation, Antarctica seems unwilling to surrender life. The giant, still largely untouched Lake Vostok remains the crown jewel. Sealed off for as long as 20 million years, it has been the subject of both scientific fascination and speculation. Russian teams drilling toward its waters reported strange microbial DNA, unlike anything known, though contamination has made the findings controversial. To some, Vostok is simply a pristine environment waiting to be studied. To others, it is a potential Pandora's box, an ancient ecosystem whose secrets may be both extraordinary and dangerous if disturbed. Antarctica's role as a cosmic observatory is no less dramatic. Beneath the South Pole lies the Ice Cube Neutrino Observatory, an array of more than 5,000 sensors frozen deep within a cubic kilometer of crystal-clear ice. Here, scientists hunt for neutrinos, elusive subatomic particles that pass through matter virtually without trace. To detect them requires the silence and purity of Antarctic ice, where flashes of blue light mark their fleeting passage. In 2013, IceCube announced the first detection of high-energy neutrinos from beyond our galaxy, ghost particles born in cosmic cataclysms billions of light-years away. From the most remote continent on Earth, scientists had reached across the universe. The South Pole Telescope complements this work, mapping the faint cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of the Big Bang. Together, these instruments make Antarctica not only the coldest place on Earth, but one of the hottest centers of astrophysics, pushing the boundaries of what we know about the origins of the cosmos. Yet Antarctica's greatest revelation is also its greatest threat. The continent is no longer the static, frozen world of explorers' tales. It is changing, fast. Satellite data show that the West Antarctic ice sheet is retreating at alarming rates. The Thwaites Glacier, nicknamed the Doomsday Glacier, is a focal point of fear. Stretching 120 kilometers across, it is anchored on unstable ground. Warm ocean currents are eating it from below, melting the ice shelf that holds it back. Should Thwaites collapse, it could trigger a chain reaction destabilizing the entire West Antarctic ice sheet, raising global sea levels by more than 3 meters. For coastal cities like New York, London, Sydney and Shanghai, that would be catastrophic. Even a single meter of sea level rise would displace tens of millions of people. Antarctica's fate is not remote. It is tied directly to our own survival. Antarctica also offers a lens into the limits of human endurance. Researchers stationed here endure months of isolation, unbroken darkness, and confinement. Psychologists study them as analogues for astronauts bound for Mars. How do humans adapt when cut off from the world, trapped in small groups, in extreme environments? The answers shape not only polar survival, but the future of space exploration. Medicine, too, is tested here. At the Concordia Station, a French-Italian outpost in East Antarctica, doctors monitor the effects of hypoxia, low oxygen caused by the station's high altitude and thin atmosphere. The findings provide insights into strokes, cardiovascular disease, and how human bodies might adapt to life on other planets. Every year, new technologies push deeper into the ice. Radar surveys reveal subglacial rivers stretching for thousands of kilometers. Satellites track cracks forming in great ice shelves, predicting collapse before it happens. Autonomous drones dive beneath ice shelves, capturing images of melting foundations no human could reach. Each discovery reinforces the same truth. Antarctica is not static. It is dynamic, alive, and changing before our eyes. It is easy to see Antarctica as distant, otherworldly, beyond relevance. But this is an illusion. The ice does not belong to itself. It belongs to the world. Its collapse will redraw maps. Its microbes may redefine biology. Its telescopes are rewriting cosmology. Antarctica is a continent that looks backward and forward at once, into Earth's deep past and into humanity's uncertain future. It is the most remote of places, yet its fate is tied to every coastline, every nation, every life. And as scientists peel back its secrets, the message grows ever clearer. Ignore Antarctica, and you ignore the Earth itself. Antarctica is the coldest, harshest, most unforgiving place on Earth, and yet it is also the most revealing. Beneath its miles of ice lies not emptiness, but abundance. the abundance of memory, of mystery, of possibility. It is a continent that preserves the story of our world. Ice cores whisper of ancient atmospheres, of climates long past, of rhythms shattered by our industrial age. Fossilized leaves and hidden sediments remind us that Antarctica was once green, forested, alive with creatures we can scarcely imagine. Its valleys and mountains, sealed in ice for millions of years, hold landscapes untouched since before humanity began. It is also a continent that fuels our imagination. The Nazi expeditions, Operation High Jump, Soviet rivalries, all shadows cast across the ice, inspiring tales of secret bases, vanished submarines, and technologies beyond our comprehension. Whispers of pyramids, of hollow earth entrances, of structures buried in frozen darkness persist, not because they are proven, but because Antarctica's silence invites them. In the void of certainty, myth thrives. And yet, beyond the speculation, the real discoveries are more profound than any legend. Microbes thriving in lakes, sealed away for millions of years. Ghost particles from the farthest reaches of the universe detected in ice a kilometer deep. Glaciers collapsing with a speed that threatens the coasts of every nation on Earth. Antarctica is at once a time capsule, a telescope, a laboratory, and a warning. Its paradox is clear. The most remote continent is also the most connected. What happens in Antarctica does not stay there. Its ice regulates the oceans. Its winds shape the climate. Its collapse could reshape the map of the world. And so Antarctica remains the last frontier, not because it is beyond reach, but because its secrets are only beginning to be revealed. It is a place where the past and future meet, a place where myths cling to shadows, but where science pulls truth from the silence. If there is a lesson in the White Continent, it is this. The world's greatest mysteries are not always hidden in the stars or in the depths of space. Sometimes they are buried in the ice beneath our feet, waiting, patient, enduring. Antarctica speaks in silence, and what it tells us may determine not only how we see our past, but how or if we survive the future.